Jesus girl. Jesus girl. Hey, it's the diary of a Jesus girl. Let the wings of the Spirit of the Lord just swirl. You are in it, but you know you're not a part of this world. And for the swine, you should never cast your pearl. Yes, it's just the diary of a Jesus girl. The diary of a Jesus girl. Welcome to the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast, where we discuss real-life issues of the committed Christian woman. This podcast will inspire you to love Jesus and impact lives like Jesus. And now it's time for your host, Crystal Day, award-winning author, speaker, and Christian coach.
Welcome to another episode of the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast with yours truly, Crystal Day, in the building. Whoop, whoop. Listen, today, January 20th, is what day? Yeah, I know. You might, if you have been following me on social media, you might see me making little announcements. But yes, today I celebrate 5 years in full-time entrepreneurship. Guys, let's jump into story time, right? To be honest, if somebody told me that I would have been 5 years as a full-time entrepreneur, I would be like laughing at them. Like, to be honest, when I stepped out on faith to start my business based on the command of the Lord, I couldn't imagine that 5 years I would still be full-time, right? I honestly thought that I would have given up. I honestly thought that I would have failed. I honestly thought that, I was crazy at one point and God will send me back to a 9-to-5 job or something. I don't know. But I honestly can't imagine that I've been 5 years. Like, it's mind-boggling for me to know that, yes, it's been 5 years. And I know that it might surprise you guys because, people see you and many people have more faith in you than you have in yourself. And that happens to me sometimes. Like, I'm very confident in what God has called me to do. There are many times that I'm very excited, to do certain things. But I honestly did not see myself at age 34 having my own business full time. That's God. Like, this is me just inserting a praise dance right now. If you're seeing me, I am like, yeah, like doing a praise dance because God is truly good. God is truly faithful, and He's worthy to be praised for all that He has done for me, all that He's doing for me. And of course, listen, I am confident He can do it for you. He is doing it for you, and He will do it for you too. So I am excited about today's podcast. I will be sharing about my journey as a faithpreneur, as a kingdom entrepreneur, whichever you want to call it. I'll be sharing a little bit about that little journey. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit about how did I get started into this entrepreneurship. And I've probably told the story already, but I remember when I was in grade 9, which is third form, I was about 13 years old, and I was introduced to accounts, POB, and the concept of entrepreneurship. And somewhere from that time, I knew that I wanted to do something in business. So I was in grade 9, but I did pretty well in school. So the class that I was in, we did both sciences and business, right? So I think my class is probably one of the classes that we were able to do both. Now, most of the persons in my class in grade 9, they actually didn't choose business. Most of them chose sciences. Probably about 2 or 3 of us from the class chose business. But I was very clear that my path would have been business and not sciences. And I did pretty well in science. I mean, I was good at math, I was good at physics. I didn't really like biology, to be honest, but physics, chemistry was okay. But my love was business. So From then I knew that I was going to get into business. I always thought that my siblings and I would have opened our restaurant. I remember about age 18 and all of us would sit there as siblings and we'll talk about, starting different businesses. And I've always been great with ideas, like monetizing ideas or coming up with ideas so persons can monetize. That was something I was very good at. But what I recognize is that I'm a strategist, and I don't necessarily always want implement the things that I'm very good at, but I'm very good at helping people to create strategies and getting ideas around monetizing. So fast forward, life happens. And somewhere in between, I always knew that I wanted to own my own restaurant. With my siblings, because my brothers, I think I mentioned that both of my brothers are chefs. And I mean, I come from a family that can cook very well. I'm probably I can cook. I can cook very well, but my mom, my dad, my grandma, my brothers, they can cook far better than me, and I can cook good, so family of foodies, right? So fast forward, I went through high school, did business in my degree, started my master's in business administration. I worked in accounts, I work in administrative. I did little HR, and then I ended my career. My last job was as a senior procurement officer, right? And that was really a good job. I enjoyed procurement. I tell people I enjoy spending money, so procurement was really good for me. I always good at finding bargains, etc. So it was a pretty good job. So when I got saved, or when I got really really saved, because I got baptized in 2009, but I rededicated my life really really fully January the 1st 2014. I've shared that already. And I started my purpose walk, and I remember being in my entrepreneurship class in university. This is when I was doing my MBA, and when the teacher taught about entrepreneurship. By now, life happened. I'm not interested in entrepreneurship. I think part of me would consider eventually owning the restaurant with my siblings, but it wasn't like anything on my mind. I always knew I wanted to go into politics, and I probably have some big job in public sector, prefer work in public sector, and eventually do my law degree, eventually get into politics. So that was kind of where my headspace was. And then I got saved, saved. And then 2014, near to the end of 2014, I started speaking, and then I started blogging. And then from then I started hosting events, and all of things happened. But what I didn't know was that I was building a brand, or God was leading me to build a brand. And I probably need to come and do a podcast about branding, because boy did the attacks come. So by now, about 2016 I believe, I was now full-fledged learning about personal development. And you always knew about personal development, but became more intentional about growing personally. And I was introduced to coaching, search, I found about Christian life coaching, and I just knew that that was what I'm supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be coaching people. I was supposed to be speaking. I was supposed to be writing. Whatever I was supposed to be doing in life, it must include me impacting people. Fast forward, I remember distinctly, this was 2016. I just got this impression on my heart that God was saying that I should leave my 9 to 5 job. And to be honest, it was so scary. Like, I started to cry, like, God, I can't leave, because I just bought a new car. My daughter was attending prep school. I'm a single mom. I had a mortgage to pay, and it was just a very scary time, and scary to think that God would want me to do this. And I remember calling 3 particular friends. I called a friend of mine, and he was like, no, because by then another sister of mine, I interviewed her on the podcast, Deidre. She had left her job, I think, earlier that year. And we have seen other persons, is almost like the Lord, and God tend to do this for me. He tends to show me people that are doing similar things that I'm called to do. And then he will kind of push me out there. So because I saw a few persons leaving their jobs at that time, it felt like, hey, and I'm trying to cut this story short, like, I wondered if it was because I saw people doing it, that I had this desire, but truly I didn't have that desire. I remember calling my other friend Deborah, and she was like, "Hey, if God called you to it, let's pray through it." I remember, as I said, the virgin that I said it to, he was like, "No, you're probably just following Deidre because you saw her do it and you're not her friends." I'm like, no, like I love that she did this, right? Shout out to my friend DJ that, she stepped out on faith, but that ain't my calling. But somehow in my heart I knew. But this is when I called my mom and I said it, and I remember, mind you, I've told you guys that my mom isn't safe. Shout out tomorrow, my mommy's birthday. Woo woo. Yeah, tomorrow's my mommy's birthday also, right? And so I called her and she said, "Hey, if God is calling you to it, He will provide. So don't worry about it. Just chill." So, I spent 2016 just trying to, build a little business. I didn't really take it serious. And then, long story short, I share this story about me leaving my job many times. I got a lot of confirmations that I needed to leave, and the biggest one was my supervisor. Shout out to Mr. Russell. Every time I tell this story, I have to shout out his name because the Lord used him, which was my supervisor, to tell me that it was time for me to leave. And that was early December, and I gave them about a month notice. And in January 20th, 2017, that was the last day of my 9 to 5 job. And I remember starting the business. I mean, the business had started already because I knew that I was supposed to be publishing. I knew that I was supposed to be speaking, writing, and coaching. But then when I left, I wasn't sure what that looks like. And honestly, I just remember going through some very hard seasons financially. I remember there were days that I had to park my car and take the bus with Crystal to school because I didn't have gas. I remember having the desire to even go to a conference in Atlanta, the Pinky Promise conference, and there was another life coaching conference, and I shared this, and I have to shout her out, right? One of my faithful listeners, one of my closest friends, Natasha Crooks. And I remember we weren't very close. We were pretty okay then, but the Lord used her and she did this GoFundMe thing, and I love her to death. And she, God used her to get me to the conference because I really didn't have the money. And she was able to get so much money from that she was able to even give me money, so I was able to go to the conferences, but I got money also to buy like clothes and buy stuff, and I was able to come home back. I love that testimony. If you go on www.crystalday.com/blog, if you go on my blog, you'll be able to see my testimony about that, right? So I've had many faith journeys, many faith testimonies. Like, listen, when I say testimonies upon testimonies, this is what the faith walk is about. My pastor said this Sunday when he was talking about the characteristics of faith, and he says, faith allows you to feel stupid, look stupid, but it's an adventure with the Lord, basically. And we know, Michael Todd series about crazy faith. I've not watched all of it, but I've watched some of it, and faith is truly the bedrock of this Christian walk. Believing before you're seeing. If you have not gotten a chance to get a copy, shameless plug, Living a Royal Reality Teen Edition. So of course, get the main edition, and it is now on audio also. But I'll give my notices a little later, right? Yeah. So the person that one of my teen girls, she wrote the first story in that book, the Living a Reality Teen Edition. She wrote about Joy Dean Carr. She wrote about faith and believing before you've seen it, right? Really blessing. You should go and check out that book, right? And this is what, for me, my faith walk with God has looked like. It's been scary. I've traveled with not even $1 in my purse. Like, I've gone to the United States with not even $1 in my purse and come back home with 2-3 suitcase of stuff, right? That is faith for me. To be honest, sometimes faith makes me uncomfortable because I want to see how things will play out, right? I want to have an idea. Oh, I can afford this, I can buy this, I can buy that. But to be honest, my entrepreneurship journey has not been like that. Like, yes, I've had great months. I've had $10,000 months actually in my business. I was really surprised when I was going through my accounting that in my business I've had 10,000 US dollar months. It's not consistent, but I've had, that's probably one of the highest months that I've had. But then I've had also, really, really not good months financially, and it was only God's provision that has taken me through. So I want today's podcast to share. I know it's the fifth year of my FaithAversary. I call it my FaithAversary, right? Of Kingdom Entrepreneurship Journey. I want to share 5 lessons I've learned in the 5 years. I want to share my 5 biggest accomplishments, which is very, very, very hard for me to do. And I want to end with 5 affirmations that I'm declaring over my brand and business going forward, and you can do that too, right? Yes, I want this to be not about me, of course. Yes, I am excited to share my experiences. A few persons about not last week, the week before, I did a episode about my wins and my takeaway from 2021 and my goals for 2022, and it was a very, very personal and transparent episode for me because I like to come on the podcast and just share what the Lord has placed on my heart. I actually love really and truly interviewing others. So I didn't really think of the podcast as a place where I should be sharing my personal journey. I use, social media for that or blogs for that, but not necessarily the podcast. But as I said, I feel like the Lord is kind of shifting it a little bit and wants me to share a little bit more. So I'm gonna jump in with starting with the 5 lessons that I've learned in 5 years of a full-time entrepreneur. So I start one again by saying that I do have a business degree. I almost completed my master's in business administration, and even those did not set me up for my business to necessarily be a success. No. Yes, you would have learned things at school, but no, trying to live it out, it is far harder. So entrepreneurship is not for the faint heart, right? It is scary. It is, I know that sometimes on social media, everybody make it looks, get your 10K months or your 6-figure business. And in technicality, I do own a 6-figure business because based on the fact that I'm in Jamaica, I do own a 6-figure business in Jamaica. But for me, I'm in an international business. So when I talk about 6-figure, I'm more referring to US dollar 6-figure. So I'm not a US dollar 6-figure entrepreneur yet. And that is, one of the desires of mine, of course. So the first lesson that I learned is one, to have a vision for your business, but ensure that the vision for your business is in alignment with your values, but also in alignment to the life that you want to live. What do I mean by that? Write it down. So have a vision for your business, but also ensure that the vision that you have for your business is in alignment to your values and also your life vision. Now, for me, I knew that I wanted an online business. I knew that I wanted to impact lives globally, right? That's something that I was sure about. Now, did I always know what that looks like? Probably not, right? I eventually started to learn about, things like email list and of course using social media to connect with people and ensuring that your website is up to standard, to excellence, etc. Right? So I knew that I wanted both an online presence, but also I wanted a presence here in Jamaica. If I initially started and just focus on Jamaica and just using social media to just focus on getting Jamaican clients, then I do believe that when the pandemic hit, it would have affected my business a lot more. But because I my vision was internationally and globally. When the pandemic hit, even though I had an office space, right, I was able to transition easily online because I was already there, right? I was already working with clients all over. And that was my vision. Now, for somebody else, your vision might not be that, right? Your vision might be, hey, you have a brick and mortar here in Jamaica, or if you're listening overseas, probably your vision is to, excel in your state or excel in your town or whatever the case is. It doesn't have to be, hey, oh my God, you have to be this global business. It's up to you. Just ensuring that your values are aligned. So for me, I started out, my vision also included that I did not start a business. Crystal Day did not start a business. This business was started by God. I didn't sit down and write a business plan. I didn't think about starting a business. I didn't, right? I wanted, it would be nice to take some credit, but I'd be lying. God placed this desire in my heart to start a business. God pushed me. I tell people, he pushed me off the cliff and say, you're going to start this business. And I felt like I was drowning, and somewhere in me falling and feeling like I was going to fall, and I hit the ground. The parachute came out, and that was his grace. And, year 5 is the number 5, actually the biblical meaning is grace, right? So I'm in the year of grace. So because I knew that the business wasn't necessarily my idea, I wanted God to be the foundation, and that for me looked like being able to talk about God in my business. Now again, every Christian entrepreneur don't have to do that. You don't have to only work with Christians. You don't have to be like Crystal Lee, oh, your business is a faith-based business because you're a Christian. It's based on what you want or what God is leading you to do. There are Christians that are in the marketplace that God might not say you must work with believers, right? And I used to feel very convicted, and people will make me feel bad because I feel like I'm called to serve believers and let it seem like it's because in my comfort zone and Christian don't spend money, yada yada yada. But for me, it aligned with my values, it aligned with the vision that I wanted, and I just allowed God to lead. Another part of the vision is to be able to work from anywhere in the world. That's why I wanted to have an online business, because I know that I'm called to speak, right? I'm called to minister to women. I'm called to be an empowerment speaker for women, and that would include me going all over the world, right, to do that. So I want to be able to work from home or work from anywhere in the world, and that's the vision I set up for my life, and that's now in alignment to where I am right now. So that's probably a good thing that I have done, right? Having the vision. And that's for somebody, whatever that vision is, just be true to yourself. Just be true to yourself and just do what you is in alignment to what you want to do. I know that I want to be able to go to Crystal, sports day without feeling anyway or feeling, guilty. Or I know that I work on weekends, so I started to not work a lot on Mondays, right? So Mondays has been my chill days because I work on weekends. I speak, I go out and do events on weekends, etc. I don't necessarily want to work on a Sunday. You understand? So things like that, it's for you. So that's number 1. I know I took a little long with that lesson, right? Number 2 is, and a lesson that I have learned, so it's a mistake. So I'm going to share the mistake, but also the lesson. A mistake that I made, and I'm being very transparent, was when I started, I paid for a lot of small courses. So I downloaded every free webinar, I downloaded every freebie, go on everybody email list, buy a lot of low cost courses. And to be honest, I didn't necessarily have the money to pay $5,000 to work with a coach or anything like that when I started, because I was struggling in business, right? But the mistake with that is that you get caught up. I got caught up in a shiny syndrome, right? Shiny object syndrome, where everything everybody is doing, you feel like you need to do that in your business. But also working with so many coaches here, coaches there, trying to, and then buying these little courses, you're trying to piece. And so people are just sharing this little part with you, and you're sharing this little part with you, and you are just trying to piece it together, and you're like, yeah, it was just so overwhelming. And then also, in when I started to track my spending, this is when in 2018, 2019, I think about 2019, I recognized that I was spending a lot of money on courses because they seem so small. Like, hey, is a $97 course or a $197 or a $47, and trying to piece in these little ebooks and that, and most of them I have not even completed them. So the lesson that I have learned though is, if I can save and work with one coach for a longer, somebody that I believe that is doing what I desire to do, and then try to learn from them, it would have been more beneficial for me. Mind you, I've appreciated learning from different people because, I've now learned to use different things that I've learned and now create my own systems. But then, to be honest, I believe that I would have been far more successful if I just stick to one or probably two main coaches, prefer high-end coaches, really, really try to trust God and ask God. I felt like if I had prayed and said, God, I really want to join this $2,000 course or this $3,000 course, God would have provided, because I've seen him done it for other courses that I've joined. But I've just not I didn't work with anybody long enough, right? I just kept going from coaches to coaches to coaches, and that, I believe, it wasn't beneficial. And also, how I know it wasn't, the clients for me that has worked with me long term, that have spent the money to work with me for longer term, and 6 months, a year, even 2 years, I have clients that have been working with me long term. They have actually accelerated their growth than the ones that just try to buy a little course and then move on to somebody else. So I've not just seen it in my personal life, but I've seen the results in my clients, right, that are doing spectacular things, because the more I grew, the more they grew, and they were able to know their success was accelerated. So what took me 4 to 5 years to learn, within 6 months they just take off, because now they have that one person, or probably two persons, depending on what kind of coaching you need. So that for me was a big mistake that I made, and as a result, there are some coaches that I work with that, yeah, yeah, right, and not a judgment on them, but the things that they promise, you just don't see come to pass, right? So I felt like this particular coach that I really wanted to work with, and the persons that I saw her work with after, and they have just gone like way ahead. And I felt like if I had just not get caught up in buying this little course, and just either ask the Lord for favor to pay for this. I know it's high end, I know it's expensive, but just know that it is worth it. I would have accelerated my success far quicker. So that's another lesson, right? Don't try to get this little course, just sacrifice, ask the Lord for provide, and just work with this one person. Pay the money to work with somebody long term, pay whatever they desire, somebody that doing what you desire to do, and that will help to accelerate your growth. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to know when to rest, and to rest in God's promises, right? So what for me that looked like as a business owner was many times. So one of the lessons I learned about myself last year is that when I don't have money, I'm extremely miserable. So if I can't see how I'm going to pay my bills by the end of the month, and I'm very miserable. And that meant for me that I was relying on money more than God, and God as a provider, right? And that was very hard for me to learn about myself, because I always kind of pride myself to say, hey, I trust God as a provider. I trust God for who he is. I trust God, right? But then when I don't see the money, then I start to get frustrated and frustrated. So for me, a lesson that I've learned in kingdom entrepreneurship is that I have to trust God as my provider, right? I have to trust. Yes, I want to have the $1 million in the bank account. I want to, be earning, $10,000 per month every month. I'm just saying minimum, right? But if I don't, I'm okay. That doesn't define who I am, because God will never allow me to be in lack. And anything that I'm in lack for is because He's not ready to provide it, and He will provide for my needs according to His riches in glory. So business is not the source, right? Daylight business, the book that I sell, the people is not the source. People and the business and all of that is resource. God is my source. God is the source of my provision. God is the source of my needs. God is the source, right? So that is number 3 that I've learned, right? So let me try to backtrack if I remember, because I didn't write it down. 1, have a vision for your life, for your business, and one that's in alignment with your values. 2, stop getting caught up with, buying small things, and just invest in a good coach that you'll work with long term enough to see enough results. And number 3, remember that the business is not the source. The business is a resource. God is a source. So number four for me, in terms of lesson, is to charge your worth. Charge my worth. And I'm using worth in quote, because the truth is, I'm worth more than money based on God, right? My worth is, and I use in a quote, because really and truly, money cannot buy me, or, but worth meaning what my services and offer value, if you understand what I mean. So because I had a lack mindset, 1, because I had a poverty mindset, 2, 3, right? Because I believed that because I am from Jamaica, for many years I undercharged. I undercharged and I charged cheap because I didn't value my services as I ought to. I felt like I needed to help everybody, and I felt like people didn't have the money, so it was my duty to help them, my Christian duty to help them, and I did not value the work that I did. So as a result, I undercharged for years, and I'm still undercharging. And as a result, 2022 is the year that I've decided that I'm not going to undercharge. Here's why. The kind of work that I do as a publisher specifically, right? A publisher and a coach. I've had clients that paid me $197, right? To work with her for three months. 197. I think it was either 197 or 297. I know it's not more than 297. I think it was about 30,000 Jamaican. So that would be about 250 max. For work with her for 3 months. And after the 3 months, the services that the program that I helped her to launch, she made back 20 times, right? I think it was about 20, well, at least 10 times what so in one day, the program that I helped her to launch, she earned that back 10 times in one launch, right? And then, going forward, she has made millions from that $250. Now, I undercharged myself because I didn't believe that, let me not say I believed. I knew that what I was helping my client with, that it would have been long term. I knew it, but I still undercharged. For some reason, even though in my heart of heart I knew it, I still undercharged. I still didn't believe in the value. And I've seen this over and over. When I help somebody, I have clients that don't even know what an email is when they came to me. They didn't even know what a blog is, right? And then within 6 months of working with me, they have launched their coaching business. They have written their books. They have become paid speakers. They are featured in magazine. Listen, what persons are paying other coaches to do just one of those things, right? And I'm charging $250 US or 30,000 Jamaican dollars to work with, a business, to work with me to build a business. That is crazy based on the results that I get with my clients. Last year, I was working with a client in Atlanta, and she paid for the most expensive publishing package. And she said to me, she was republishing her book. She said to me, one, the publisher that she paid to work with the first time, right? She paid doubled what I charge. And she did not. She got a mediocre work. But then she turned to me and said, listen, if you increase your cost, it would be more than worth it, because what I've learned from you in the last 3 months since launching my book outweigh all the money I've ever paid anybody else. So when you hear clients are saying this, like, listen, you need to charge more, part of me kept feeling like, hey, people in Jamaica can't afford it. And then what I've seen is that the same people that say they can't afford it, they go and pay other people. And that hurt me to my core, because I'm like, and then I'm always giving major discount. And this is me being transparent, because I'm not complaining about it, no, because guess what? It's a teething pain and it's a part of your learning process. And I've learned to, okay, all right, this is the mistakes that I've made. So that's why the lesson now that I can share is charge what your services are valued. Overcharge, double your prices, raise your rates, right? And believe that those who are God is fear. He said a workman is supposed to be paid their right and fair wages, right? So if I'm undercharging, it makes people look at me like I don't know what I'm doing. That's one. Two, because I undercharged for so long, I remember when I launched my first coaching program, my birthday book program, I charged 15,000 Jamaican dollars for three months. They were paying 5,000 Jamaican dollars, which is about about 50 US dollars or less. Say about 50. So basically I was charging 150 US dollars to work with me for 3 months to write a book. That was crazy, because most of the clients that I worked with back then, one, they would not just write a book. I would help them to become coaches. I would help them to get featured on media, launch their speaking platforms, use their books to create. And like, what? And what made it bad was that I'm working with 5 clients. They're paying $5,000 per month. That's 25,000 Jamaican dollars. That's about 200, and after be converting it into US, that's about 200 US dollars. I cannot survive on 200 US dollars. So I'm working with 5 clients, earning $200, $300 max, because I might get a speaking engagement, right? So say on a good month back then, I was earning $50,000 when my bills is 150,000 Jamaican dollars. So I was always in shortfall. That is why I have to charge what my services are worth, because I'm struggling financially and I'm doing good work. So I'm sorry I had to go back. Right? Because the truth is, I'm not trying to explain why I'm going to raise my rates or why my rates are raising. But it's just now looking back, recognizing that I had issues where I didn't want to charge. I had a poverty mindset, I had a lack mindset. And that needs to go, because and what started to happen is I started to do mediocre work, because I knew that I wasn't getting paid what I really deserve. So when the clients paid enough, like paid for the VIP package, I would go out of my way to do good for them and go out of my way to get, I wouldn't say go out of my way, to be honest. I would show up and ensure that they get the value, because I know that I can give the value. But then when they didn't pay a lot, it made me a little bit bitter, not at the client, of course, because they're paying me, but bitter in myself, knowing that I might can't pay my bills. So the lesson that I want to share with somebody is that when you're putting together whatever you're putting together, your package, your offers, whatever, this is why you go back to your lifestyle that you desire in the lesson 1 that I shared. so that you can charge more, raise your rates more, so that you can. So for me, like going forward, I want to work with my clients minimum 6 months, 3 to 6 months, because I know trying to write a book, yes, you can write a book in 7 days and you can write a book quickly, but then if you don't have a platform, right, if you don't have a brand, if you're not getting paid as a speaker, if you're not getting features, all of that, then it wouldn't benefit my client. So I know I need to work with them longer so that they can get better results, and they can pay me, because I know that whatever they pay me, they're going to make that back 10 times the first time, because going forward they will make millions from the book and from the speaking and all of the things that I've learned over the last 5 years, and they will just learn it in six months to a year. So definitely raise the rates and charge what your services are worth. Number 5, that was number 4. And Number 5 lesson is to invest in yourself and be teachable, right? Investing in yourself. I couldn't end the lesson to talk about how important investment is. Now, this is not, I know in number 3, I talked about, not investing in too many small courses and stuff. Like, nothing is wrong with courses and stuff. When I do my courses, I go out of my way. Anybody that ever been on a webinar with me knows that I teach value. So my courses are very jam-packed and they are well done, but not everybody courses is like that, right? And there are some people that, I bought courses for $297 that was extremely good. So nothing against courses. What I'm saying is that don't do just bare courses, but invest in higher level coaching so you can get better results. So backtrack. Investing in yourself, not just in the business. So that's why I separate lessons, because now investing in yourself means that your business can't grow more than you grow. So if I wasn't growing, if I wasn't exposing myself to coaches and programs that are saying, hey, you need to charge higher based on XXX, then I wouldn't necessarily start believing that I deserve to get more money, right? Because again, I struggled a lot growing up in poverty. There's a mindset that I had, you can't earn a certain amount of money, and the idea if you earn a certain amount of money as a Christian, you might lose your salvation, all these kind of things, right? So investing in yourself for me, including books, reading books, investing time with spending with the Lord, investing in coaching programs, where masterminds where you can learn from other people. Investing in yourself mean personal growth, right? It might mean that, like for me, I paid to learn to do makeup, right? Paid somebody to teach me makeup one-on-one, because I was traveling a lot, and it means that it was far more for me to pay somebody in the US to do my makeup than here in Jamaica. So I had to learn basic makeup thing, because I'm on social media, and whether we want to believe it or not, the Bible says man looks at the outward appearance, God looks at the heart. People can't see a heart. So it's how I present myself, how I dress up, how I look, how my makeup, all of that, these things are part of my branding and how I present myself. So investing in that, I invest in getting yourself some new clothes so you can get a new look. To be honest, for me, I tend to be a very simple person. If I've on a jeans and probably one of those branded t-shirts, I'm good. I'm good. I don't necessarily have to dress up. There are times, when I love my heels and my dresses and stuff. But if it's me alone, I'd go on the road with my hair in rollers. I'm that kind of person, to be honest. But then that is not in alignment with the brand and where I want to go. So it meant that I actually invested in a stylist this year, right? Also investing in others, right? Investing in other person's growth. So like my interns that I hire interns every now and then, and I pay for them to get courses to learn to do other things. I've paid for persons to learn graphic designing, to learn about social media, and even though they might not use it for my business alone, right, they will use it for themselves. So not just investing in myself, but investing in other people, teaching other people things. So investing in yourself is very, very important. So those are the top 5 lessons that I've learned in 5 years. There's so much more that I could talk about, but I will stop there because this podcast is becoming too long, right? So let me run quickly to the top 5 biggest accomplishments. I think the number one biggest accomplishment for me is the fact that I didn't quit. I've felt like quitting many, many times. I felt like I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. I need to just go and seek a job because my bills are not being paid. But I didn't quit. And that is worth celebrating. Straight. Like, I won't pretend. That is worth celebrating. I didn't quit. I kept going. And when I researched the statistics, it said, more than 50% of persons quit business within their 4th year. So the fact that I've crossed over to the 5th year, it means that I'm in good company, right? So I kept going, and that is worth celebrating. Another biggest accomplishment, I would say the amount of books that I've published, and which is over 100 and I need to count, but probably about 120 something. So I've worked with at least 300 authors, but under the Daylight brand, we have published over 100 books. That is worth celebrating in 5 years, right? Because I know people that have been doing publishing before me, long before me, but they have not done that, help so many people. So for me, that's a major accomplishment. 3, being recognized in the media. Like 2022, Divine Magazine, I'm one of the top 30 coaches in the world, Christian coaches in the world, according to Divine Purpose Magazine. Whoop, whoop. So that's our celebration. In 2021, I was on Yahoo Finance as one of the top 10 book coaches to watch in 2021. I've been featured on CBS, NBC, the Gleaner, the TVJ. I've been on Barbados show, a top show in Barbados, their morning show, and I've been on CVM TV, Love FM. Yeah, so my media features, they're like, So for 5 years, and my media features started about a year before I came into full-time business. So for about 6 years, I've had hundreds of media features, not to mention the amount of podcasts that I've been on, more than 50 podcasts I've been on, not to mention the amount of stages that I've spoken on, right? And on an annual basis, I speak at least 30 times minimum. That's like last year when 2020, when the pandemic hit, with the speaking arena kind of decreased. I probably did about 30 stages, and that includes schools, etc. So those are my biggest accomplishments. That's number 3, the speaking and the media. Number 4, I think another accomplishment for me is just how well my books are doing in terms of not just book sales, but also the impact that the book has had on people. Persons have said, the book have changed their lives. So as an author, I think that's amazing. I have published 9 books. That is an amazing it's an amazing thing, for me to publish 9 books. So that's another big accomplishment. And I think number 5 would be, I guess, my faith. My faith is a big accomplishment because I've managed to really and truly live the life of a Jesus girl over the last, umpteen years of rededicating my life to the Lord, and not just saying I'm a Christian, but truly not a perfect person any way, shape, or form, fall short of the glory of God every single day. But I can honestly say that I'm sold out Jesus girl, and for me, nothing means more to me than to know that my life is dedicated to serving Jesus Christ to the fullest, representing him as best as I can, helping others to know him, helping others to come into our saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, evangelizing, praying and interceding for others, just trying my best to stay safe. That for me is an amazing accomplishment. I know we're talking about as a faithpreneur and as an entrepreneur, but just overall as a person, that for me is a great accomplishment. So, with that, I'm ending with some affirmations that I'm declaring over my brand and business for myself, but also you can, take some of these lessons that I've learned, try to not make some of the mistakes that I've made. That's why I have done this podcast, not for you to just come on and say, "Yeah, Crystal, I've done these amazing things." I mean, thanks for celebrating me, but the truth is, I'm here to serve you. That is it. My favorite book, Purpose Driven Life, written by Rick Warren, starts with, "It's not about you." And since I read that book in 2015, I believe. The first time I went on a fasting, no, 2014 actually. I went on a fasting with the Lord for 3 months. I read that book in 2014, yes. Changed my life. And since then, I live to serve others. I serve my daughter, I serve my family, I serve my clients, I serve as unto the Lord. So yes, there are dreams that I have, there are things that I desire to do, there are things that I've accomplished that I'm extremely grateful for. But the truth is, I try my best to remind myself that it's always service, and service in terms of serving in excellence. A lot of persons that are listening this are trying to be perfect, and this is why procrastination come about, or they're trying to convince themselves that they need to have it together, they need to have things together. Just do whatever you can in excellence. That has been my mandate. Just represent Christ in the fullest. So I pay the extra amount, the money, to get a good person, somebody to fix my website. Yes, I can build my own website, but I'm not very good at the graphics. I'm not very good at, so I pay because I want my website, looks excellent. I do, outside of the fact that I love take picture, right? I really do love taking picture. I also try to do at least 2 times per year a photo shoot so that I can have quality photos, right? I try to clean up my social media so it can look. So I want to represent. This is why I publish books, because a lot of people say they self-published book, but it's obvious. And if your book is obvious that it's self-published, it means that it is not done properly. For me, it is important for me to operate in excellence. So this is why I pay to do extra courses for publishing, right? I join publishing masterminds. I join publishing association so I can keep abreast of what's happening so that I can better serve others and serve them in excellence. And that is, what I do. So you that are listening, I want you to just be inspired by my journey, but it's to not for you in any way, shape, or form believe that you need to try to copy what I have done or to imitate what I'm doing. Yes, be inspired. There are things that I've accomplished that I can help other, persons to accomplish, in terms of getting featured and getting paid as a speaker, all of these lovely things, building your brand. That is my thing. Like, I can help you to strategize to build a profitable and impactful brand, right? I do that in my sleep. Helping people to write a book, I can do that in my sleep. But at the end of the day, it is to inspire you to do what God has called you to do. Inspire you to serve people in excellence. Inspire you to, just show up as God desire you to show up. Right? So just before the affirmations, let me do, our church notices. One, again, the Kingdom CEO Mentorship Academy, it is supposed to be closed. We had our first January meeting, but there are 2 persons that pull out, so I do have 2 spaces open. So if you want to work with me long term, it's a 1-year mentorship from January to December. Even though you might have missed the January session, we actually still have a second. So we have the guest sessions. So it's 2 sessions per month, but also you get courses, you get the networking, you get some one-on-one with me. Every month I give you, if you're a speaker and stuff, every month I send out media leads for blogs that you can be featured, magazines, live videos, all of that. So if you are looking for a Christ-centered business mentor, somebody, I'm very good at marketing, digital marketing, brand building your brand. I do have 2 spaces that are now open to be a part of the mentorship program. So just hit me up if you're listening to this. It's very affordable. It's $97 per month, right? This, even though everything is raising, I'm raising my prices based on the value. I decided to keep this as my only low income because, again, I remember what it felt like to want to invest and didn't necessarily have the money when I just started. So this is the only program that you'll be able to work with me for $97 for, right? And so if you're interested to be a part of it, you definitely should. Also, I announce, if you want, we have over 300 odd persons listening to our podcast on a daily, every time we put it out. So between 300 and 500 downloads per episode. Listen, if you want to advertise anything that is, of course, in alignment with the brand, you should definitely message me and I'll share with you how you can advertise with the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast. So, message me. It's very, very affordable, but I'm able to, let my listeners know how whatever kind of business, whether you write a book, whether you're a coach, whether you have a product-based business, you can definitely now advertise on the Diary of a Jesus Girl podcast. That's number 2 announcement. So 1, join one of the spaces for the Kingdom CEO mentorship program. Number 2 is to advertise with us. Number 3 is, of course, I will, if you desire to write, publish, market, and monetize your book, definitely check out Daylight Publishers. And I'm looking forward to serving you and to help you to bring the book to life, but not just bring it to life, to ensure that you're able to make money, be a profitable entrepreneur from the books that you have written, right? And that is all. Yes, that is all my notices for this week episode. So affirmation. So affirmation 1 I wrote down was, I am a kingdom entrepreneur who impacts lives through my gifts and marketplace offerings. So I remind myself every day that I'm a kingdom entrepreneur who impacts life through my gifts and my marketplace offerings. So that's my affirmation number 1. Affirmation number 2, I'm sure in mine you probably can write your own, right? Number 2, there are plenty of wonderful clients who are willing and able to pay me what I deserve, right? That is my affirmation number 2. There are plenty wonderful clients who are out there who are willing to pay me for what I deserve because I serve in excellence, right? Because I serve in excellence. There are wonderful clients out there that are willing and ready to pay me, right? Affirmation number 2, I'm a woman of wisdom. And because I'm a woman of wisdom, I'm able to make decisions that are in alignment with my values, my brand, and the lifestyle that I desire. So I'm a woman of wisdom. And because I'm a woman of wisdom, I'm able to make decisions that are in alignment with my values, my lifestyle, and my brand, so that I can show up to be the woman that God has called me to be. Affirmation number 4, right? Again, these are business affirmations that I'm saying over myself. Affirmation number 4, I'm a millionaire. I'm a Jesus girl millionaire. I make a living doing what I love without compromising my faith. Again, I'm a Jesus girl millionaire. Yes. And I make a living doing what I love without compromising my faith. Come on now. Woo, woo. Right? Come on now. Again, I hope that you are writing your own affirmations, right? So those are number 5 for me. Number 5 for me, right? I have valuable skills. I have mastered my craft. I've dedicated myself to becoming the best publisher, speaker, author, marketplace mentor, and kingdom CEO that I can be. As my excellence rises, my prices can rise accordingly. No, that one I did not make up on my own. Rachel Rogers, I know I've probably mentioned the book, We Should All Be Millionaires. That book, has definitely shifted my mindset regarding money and stuff like that. And that affirmation I wrote down from her, where I have valuable skill. I have mastered my craft. I have dedicated myself to be the best publisher, kingdom CEO, brand strategist, marketplace mentor, international speaker, award-winning author that I can be. And as my excellence rises, my prices can rise accordingly. Woo, woo. That one gives me goosebumps. So that one I got from Rachel, right? Her book, and I just love that one. So those are my 5 affirmations that I'm declaring over my life, my brand, and my business. I'm going to write them down, put them on my vision board, put them on in my room, and try to say them, right? Because again, one of the things that I want to share is to just have mentors online, and it don't necessarily always have to be mentors that you can go to all the time. I mean, it's great if you can go and have a conversation with them. That's why I have the mentorship program. But also there's so much power in having online mentors, people that you admire. I love Maya Elias. She's a Black woman. She's a woman of faith. To see her building her $1 million business. I know that there are a lot of other women, like for example, Rachel Rogers. I like her book, but it's not, there are curse words in it, and it's not a Christian book at all. But I found value in, reminding myself of, or telling myself, because I wouldn't say I remind myself, because I probably didn't even believe that I could eventually operate a $1 million business, but to see Black women that are doing that. And I've learned that, when you have more money, you have more options, you're able to give back more. And when good people and godly people have more money, we're able to do more things and do better things. It's not just about, hey, the car and the house and that. Also, listen, I'm going off tangent a little as I wrap up, but there were some statistics that I was watching, that it says that they're like less than 11% of the billionaires so 89% of the billionaires in the world are men. So it means that 11% of the women are billionaires, right? I mean, I'm not a feminist or anything, but I do believe that women are smart. We're wise, we are extremely talented, extremely educated, we're empowered women. And especially if you're a woman of God, you are a godly empowered woman. In my book, Empowered for Such a Time as This, I talk about that, right? We're empowered through the Holy Spirit to show up and to do good things. And statistics shows that when women have money, women are the one that are taking care of their families. Women are the one that are starting non-profits. Women are the one that are giving back more than men. Like it has shown that 80% of the women that the charities and all of that are women. So it means that when women, especially women of God that has money, that have options, it will give other people more choices. And that's what I liked about her book, again, because growing up in poverty, growing up in Maxfield, and thank God for exposure, because I didn't even know that I could travel. I didn't know like the things that I've seen, options weren't given to me until I started. Of course, I'm not rich yet, but until I started to have certain amount of money. If we didn't have money or the favor, we couldn't go to college, right? Somebody had to pay for me to go to college, which gave me an opportunity to get a better job, to be able to help my family more, because I had, a little bit more money versus many other people that I grew up with that, they're still struggling to even put food on the table, So That's what I like about having these online mentors. Again, it's important that you don't rely on these people as your ultimate, right? The Bible, the word of God. If you read the word of God, especially in Proverbs and Ecclesiastics, there are so many. Jesus teach you about money. There are books, I've read I don't remember what, there's a book about, just managing finances God's way, you're tithing, you're saving, all of these things. And these are principles, a lot of the principles that these people are teaching are actually in the word. So I'm definitely not saying that you should rely on these mentors more than God. At the end of the day, God is your CEO, so you must spend time in the Word, spend time with God, right? But it's always good to learn other things and learn from other experiences, but always come back down to, okay, this is why my values are important. This is why God is the ultimate source. So, ending on this note, I did not expect that the podcast would be so long, but again, happy 50th year FaithAversary to me. Yay. Happy birthday to my mommy. Tomorrow is her birthday. So, I'll be posting her. So if you're listening to this, definitely, whisper a prayer for me, whisper a prayer for my family, and I have a surprise for my mommy. So I share that on my Instagram and all. I have a surprise for her. She has been a blessing, on this faith walk with me, and I've always believed in me. Oh my God, the last. Oh my God, how did I forget? My last announcement is that I'll be in Florida February the 5th, Saturday, February the 5th, for my first international book signing. So, December I had my first book signing in Jamaica. I wanted my first one to be in Jamaica, of course, but no, February the 5th, Saturday, February the 5th, from 12 to about 6, I'll be at Faith Christian Bookstore in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. So I am inviting the Florida people to come out, come support me, please. Right? Share with a friend and just come out, come get your books and stuff. So I'm excited about that. So that is the last notice, of course. So have a blessed week. Share this podcast with somebody. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or YouTube. Please, wherever you're listening this, leave a encouragement. Is my